My best friend lied about paying rent while secretly pocketing my money, so I got her evicted and cut her off. Hey, I'm Rachel, 27 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. I've always been the kind of person who values friendship above everything. Loyalty, trust, and honesty mean the world to me, and I thought I had found that in my best friend, Melissa. We had known each other since college, spent years laughing, crying, and supporting each other through everything. So, when she needed a place to stay, offering to split an apartment with her felt like the most natural thing in the world. At first, living together was great. It was like having a permanent sleepover with my best friend. We'd binge watch our favorite shows, cook together, and spend nights talking about our dreams and futures. I felt lucky. But little did I know, the person I trusted the most was secretly betraying me in a way I never could have imagined. It all started when we moved into our new apartment. We had agreed to split the rent down the middle. The lease was in her name, but I didn't think twice about that. After all, we were best friends. Every month, I sent her my half of the rent through Venmo like clockwork, trusting that she was handling the payments. She always assured me that everything was fine, that she had it covered. But something started feeling off. At first, it was little things. I'd come home to find eviction notices taped to our door, but Melissa would always brush them off. "Oh, it's just a mistake," she'd laugh, crumpling the paper in her hand. "The landlord's office is so disorganized." I wanted to believe her. I mean, why would she lie? But then I started noticing other signs. The Wi-Fi got shut off once because of a billing error. Then the water was turned off for an entire day, and Melissa insisted it was a citywide issue. Still, I didn't want to think the worst of her. We were best friends, after all. If something was wrong, she would tell me, right? One evening, I came home to a letter slipped under the door, a final eviction notice. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a mistake. This was serious. I grabbed the letter and stormed into Melissa's room, my heart pounding. "Melissa," I said, holding up the paper. "What is this?" She barely glanced at it before rolling her eyes. "Oh my God, Rachel. Relax. I already talked to the landlord. It's a clerical error." I stared at her. "A clerical error? Then why is it a final notice?" She sighed, running a hand through her hair. "Look, I'll handle it. Just trust me, okay?" Something inside me snapped. Trust? That word suddenly felt so foreign. I needed answers. That night, after Melissa went out, I decided to check with our landlord myself. I found his number on one of the notices and called, my hand shaking. When he picked up, I barely managed to get out. "Hi, I'm Rachel, one of the tenants at—" "Oh, you're the roommate," he interrupted, his tone sharp. "I've been trying to get in touch with you." "What?" I breathed. "Why?" "Because your rent hasn't been paid in 3 months." I nearly dropped the phone. "That's not possible," I stammered. "I've been paying my half to Melissa every month." The landlord scoffed. "Well, she hasn't been paying me. I don't know where your money's been going, but it hasn't been coming here." The room spun. My knees went weak. 3 months? That was thousands of dollars. Gone. Melissa had been lying to me. She had been taking my money and pocketing it while letting our rent go unpaid. I don't remember much of what I said after that. The landlord explained that if we didn't come up with the full balance in a week, we were out. No exceptions. I hung up the phone, my hands shaking with fury. Melissa had stolen from me, my own best friend. I sat in silence for what felt like hours, trying to process the betrayal. But one thing became clear. I wasn't going to let her get away with this. I was going to make her pay. I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced with every possible scenario. How could Melissa do this to me? Where had all my money gone? Had she ever planned to pay the rent, or had this been her plan all along? By morning, my anger had solidified into determination. I wasn't going to let her scam me out of my hard-earned money and walk away like nothing had happened. I needed a plan. First, I gathered every receipt from the Venmo payments I had sent her, taking screenshots and organizing them into a folder. I wrote down everything the landlord had told me and checked the lease agreement. Since Melissa was the only one on the lease, technically, I wasn't legally responsible for the unpaid rent, but that also meant she was fully liable for the debt. That was my leverage. When Melissa came home that afternoon, she was in her usual carefree mood, completely unaware that I knew everything. I didn't waste time. "Melissa," I said, my voice ice cold, "where's my money?" She blinked at me. "What are you talking about?" I held up my phone, showing her the screenshots of every payment I had sent. "I talked to the landlord. You haven't paid rent in 3 months, so tell me, where did my money go?" Her face paled, but she quickly tried to recover, forcing a laugh. Rachel, it's not what you think. I just fell behind on a few payments, and I was going to fix it. Fix it, I repeated, my voice rising. Melissa, we have a week before we're evicted. You stole thousands of dollars from me. Where is it? Her eyes darted around the room, and I knew in that moment she had nothing. No excuse, no explanation. Finally, she muttered, I had some personal expenses. I needed the money for other things. My jaw clenched. Other things. While I was struggling to make sure my half was paid on time, you were using my money for other things? She crossed her arms, suddenly defensive. Look, it's not like you were paying the landlord directly. You gave me the money. That was your choice. I stared at her, my rage boiling over. She wasn't even sorry. She wasn't ashamed. She was trying to twist this as if it were my fault for trusting her. That was it. I was done. You know what, Melissa? I said, my voice steady but deadly. You're right, I gave you my money, and now I'm going to make sure you regret ever taking it. She scoffed. Oh yeah? And what are you going to do? I smiled. You'll see. That night, I took my plan into action. I contacted the landlord again and explained everything. He was furious, but when I told him I had proof of my payments, he agreed that I had been a victim in all of this. And that's when he gave me an idea. He was evicting Melissa no matter what, but if I wanted to stay in the apartment, he was willing to let me take over the lease. I didn't hesitate. The next morning, I filed a report for fraud. While Melissa hadn't technically scammed a business, she had knowingly taken my money under false pretenses, which was enough to take legal action. I also reported her to Venmo, showing that she had taken thousands from me under false pretenses. And then, for the final blow, I confronted her one last time. When she walked in that evening, I was already packing her things. What the hell are you doing? She demanded. I tossed a bag at her feet. The landlord's evicting you. I said, I took over the lease. You need to be out by the end of the day. She laughed in disbelief. You can't just kick me out. Actually, I said, crossing my arms, I can. Because you're the one who broke the lease agreement, and the landlord is more than happy to see you gone. Her face twisted with fury. You're such a snake, Rachel. After everything I've done for you, you're really going to do this? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You stole from me, Melissa. You betrayed me. And you're lucky I'm not pressing full charges. Now get out. Melissa had no choice but to leave. She tried to beg, tried to guilt-trip me, but I had nothing left to give her. When she finally walked out that door, I felt something I hadn't in weeks. Relief. Melissa had thought she could take advantage of me. She thought I would let it slide. But she was wrong, and I'll never make that mistake again. If you've ever dealt with a toxic friend or betrayal like this, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and share. Sometimes standing up for yourself is the best revenge.